We've heard all the stories about him training diligently in the offseason with the quarterback gurus in Southern California. I have said time and time again on numerous platforms, I think this young man at 24 years of age is far beyond his years in maturity. If any young man can handle the pressure in the city of Philadelphia, this guy can. But still, based off of what we saw last year, I have my reservations. Can he read a defense? Can he properly go through his progressions? Can he stay in that pocket a second or two longer to wait until somebody frees up instead of taking off like the rabbit flushed out of the bush and running too soon? Those are all big questions, and the answers are even bigger. We won't know in OTAs, mini camps, training camp, and as you know, Dan, a lot of teams don't even play their frontline players in preseason games anymore. So we're not going to know for real until the bullets start flying in mid-September.
Okay, just saying. And, you know, I'm gonna ask D Gunn this here. With the hype of this football team here, let's bring our friend in from Sports Take. We so appreciate him taking time here, man. He does such a great show with the fellas, man. D Gunn, too much hype on this football team, you think?
On this Eagles team?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a yes and no answer. I think when you look at what they did in the offseason, they went out and got one of the premier quarterback sackers over the last two seasons in Reddick. They added a solid linebacker in Kazir White. You know, they drafted a kid, Nakobe Dean, who was a sure shot first-round pick and for whatever reason slipped through the cracks. They add James Bradbury, but the big one is they had a legitimate 1,000-yard receiver in A.J. Jones. So they already have one of the best offensive lines in the game. You have one of the better tight ends in the game. You got a great trio of running backs. And now your defense has been shored up. You draft this kid, Jordan Davis, Milton Williams coming back, having a strong year, two perennial Pro Bowlers in Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. So the expectation is high for this team for a lot of reasons. But then I say you got to pump the brakes because you still have the unknown commodity, which is the quarterback situation. As I don't have to tell you, a lot of times the quarterback gets too much of the accolades and sometimes they get too much of the blame. In this particular case, Jalen Hurts has been given everything you can expect to succeed. Tight end, line, running backs, wide receivers. We've heard all the stories about him training diligently in the offseason with the quarterback gurus in Southern California. I have said time and time again on numerous platforms, I think this young man at 24 years of age is far beyond his years in maturity. If any young man can handle the pressure in the city of Philadelphia, this guy can. But still, based off of what we saw last year, I have my reservations. Can he read a defense? Can he properly go through his progressions? Can he stay in that pocket a second or two longer to wait until somebody frees up instead of taking off like the rabbit flushed out of the bush and running too soon? Those are all big questions, and the answers are even bigger. We won't know in OTAs, mini camps, training camp, and as you know, Dan, a lot of teams don't even play their frontline players in preseason games anymore. So we're not going to know for real until the bullets start flying in mid-September. So I think, yes, the expectation is higher, but also there's that reservation because the engine only goes as effectively as a quarterback does, my brother.
Absolutely. And Derrick, I'm going to throw this at you here, and I threw this at folks the other day, and what's the most important objective for this Eagle team this year? To win 11 ball games, get dumped in the opening round of the playoffs, or find out if that quarterback is the heir apparent and the future of this franchise over the next 10 years. And I say this to you doing this.
Yeah.
What if the team, because you can't play the way and the style of football you played a year ago in that one-dimensional football if you want to get into the modern NFL.
Right.
We do not take advantage, Derrick, in any way. When a quarterback today throws the ball down the field, it's a 50-50 proposition with most teams on pass interference. Jalen's not going to get that advantage. Right. Where I'm going here is this. What if the team goes 8-9, but Jalen throws for 4,300 yards and 33 touchdowns, and we see this leap like we saw it with Josh Allen?
Right.
Isn't that a win for the franchise to maybe take a step backwards so that they can take 3 steps forward and go, I know we kind of shit the bed on this other part of the team, but we found out the quarterback. Is that something they would look at?
Absolutely, because as you know, there are not 32 legitimate starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. If you have quarterback you think you can count on for the next 4, 5, 7 years, that's a luxury in the NFL nowadays. If they find out that Jalen Hurts is that quarterback, but they lose more games than they win, well, they're sitting pretty next year. They still have 2 first-round draft picks that they can use to address whatever deficiencies they might have on offense or defense. You can address that in the draft, as the league always tries to tell you, we're trying to get younger to get better. Eagles are in a prime position. They have a good young nucleus of players, and you continue to enhance upon that. So, yeah, if Jalen Hurts went for 4,500 yards, 33 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and ran this offense fluidly the way Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen want to run this offense, that's a huge sigh of relief for this organization. But they've also deliberately put themselves in a position to possibly attack that quarterback spot next year. That's why I knew going into this draft they weren't going to utilize 3 first-round picks this year. So that's why they set themselves up to have 2 first-round picks next year, so they can wheel and deal and maybe pull off a Carson Wentz type move of moving up in the draft to get one of the better quarterbacks, since next year's class, as we know it today, is supposed to be considerably better than the 2022 quarterback draft class.
Absolutely. They're talking between 5 and 7 guys that could potentially go in the next year's 32 picks. D. Gunn, does it bug you a little bit? I had Jimmy Johnson make a comment. I tweeted at him, and Coach doesn't really like the philosophy that Nick Sirianni and the Eagles are going through when it comes to preserving their players and not really getting quality reps. I had Phil Simms on a couple days ago, and Phil goes, the difference between getting reps in an exhibition game versus getting reps in a controlled scrimmage that many of these teams are doing, they're higher quality reps in those exhibition games than they are in the controlled scrimmages. Right. His point was this: with all these new components, Derrick, you were as healthy as you ever were. You were more healthier last year than you were in the 17th season when you won the Super Bowl, and you still got your heads kicked in the opening round of the playoffs. Where do you sit on this? I mean, do you think this team needs more practice time? How's Jalen supposed to get better in helmets and shorts?
Well, I'm old school, man. I'd rather see him mix it up a little bit more, hanging and banging on the field. But let's face it, as you said, that team limped through the 2017 season, yet they had enough diversity on that team. Everybody stepped up. A backup quarterback, steps in and wins the Super Bowl for him. And now he has a statue outside of Lincoln Financial Field. Then you look at this Eagles team in 2018, 19, and even 2020. Team was decimated by injuries. You look across the league at the volume of injuries. They continue to increase each and every year. Significant injuries from Achilles to knees to ruptured pecs. The numbers keep going up. I think the numbers was only like 6 or 7 teams during the OTAs really had like physical OTAs, and it seems like everybody's pulling back. The fact that this team was the healthiest that it had been in quite some time in 2021, using Nick Sirianni's philosophy, the fact that they got to the playoffs and got a bunch of young guys experienced in the playoffs, even though they got their hands handed to them on a silver platter by a team like Tampa Bay, I can't argue against what Nick Sirianni's doing. They just finished up in OTAs and they're not having a mandatory, session like a lot of teams might have. I can't argue with what he's doing right now. It works. If the bottom line is you're keeping these guys healthier, you're getting them further into a season, which could help you at the end of the season, then who am I to argue, against that? I really can't, to be honest with you, because it worked for him.
Absolutely. Couple last questions for you, D. Gunn. Let me throw this at you with A.J. Brown, and I brought this up today. Get your spin on it here. I'm going to tie in Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp was talking about, look, there's a value on having Sean McVay. There's a value playing in L.A. There's a value playing with Matthew Stafford that people sometimes don't look at when they're chasing that bag of money. I didn't go for the number one amount of money like some of these other guys did. I went for more peace of mind, knowing that I'm going to be the focal point of an offense with a coach who's 36, with a quarterback who got me the ball last year in record time, in record numbers. There was a value there. And when you see that as a potential free agent, maybe next year and the year after, man, people look their head up, D-Gun, and do this. Yeah. You know what, man? That Rams thing is really great.
Yeah.
And I hear A.J. Brown doing this. Man, this Devontae Smith kid, man, sky's the limit.
Right.
Man, he's a number one. Geez, holy cow, we got 2 1s here. He's talking trash to the Cowboy guys during the celebrity baseball. I love the fact that this guy's rolled in here and his impact has made it so, like, there's an energy in the building. There's also something that says this: if I'm a free agent, D lineman, O lineman, whatever, I'm going to look up and go like this, Derrick. What are they doing in Philly, man?
Yeah.
They're paying people and they're winning.
Yeah.
I mean, he's made it fashionable to want to play in Philly, I think.
Well, you look at an A.J. Brown, and he's basically the same age as a lot of the young talent that's being counted on for this team.
He's 25. It's
25
crazy.
years old, and these other kids are 22, 23, 24. He's a proven commodity. He's had 2,000-yard seasons, should have had a third if it wasn't due to injuries. And he just got paid $100 million, okay? So what do young players want in today's game? They want to make their money as quick as possible. They want to win as quick as possible. So A.J. Brown is now like the Pied Piper, one of the Pied Pipers of that locker room because of his pedigree. If this team turns the corner, last year they were an afterthought. This year they're back on prime time 4 or 5 times this season. If they show out in prime time, you don't think other players are taking notice of this? Especially if the quarterback plays up to expectation, especially if this defense plays up to expectation with that rotation they have in the front 7 and the games that Jonathan Gannon can play now. I'm hoping it's more of an attacking type defense. Absolutely. Now, you can look out west and say, okay, young players too get caught up in the glitz and the glamour. Who wouldn't want to be in Los Angeles, the land of sun and fun? New multi-billion-dollar stadium, state-of-the-art facilities. They're recent Super Bowl champion. You have one of the more innovative young minds in Sean McVay, who's your coach. He can relate to the young player today. So it's like pick your poison. What do you want? Are you an East Coast person? Are you a West Coast person? But you know what? Players want to win. Bottom line, they want to win. If there's one thing that's never changed in this game from the inception of the game to now is players want to win. Very few players get a chance to do this and say, I got one of these. And that's the bottom line. And if they feel the Eagles are a team, number one, that's going to pay them, and number two, they're right there neck and neck with the Cowboys and one of the better teams in the NFC, Philadelphia automatically becomes a viable option for these guys.
Finally here,
yeah.
You see, we got about 7 weeks training camp and Jordan Davis and cheesesteaks and cannolis, and I don't know here, man. I mean, I think we all – hey, I don't – here's all kidding aside.
Right.
I don't want to have to sit here and tell this guy not to eat something. I want him to have the self-discipline to understand that this is a job now, Derrick.
Right,
I mean,
right.
You ain't on scholarship anymore. You know what I mean? I mean, this is a big guys league now. Just your sense, do you think he's going to be ready to rock here for the upcoming season? I love his personality, by the way.
Right. You're talking about Jordan Davis?
Yes.
Here's the thing. With the team, you have a nutritionist, you have trainers to help you control your weight. Now you have 7 weeks and you're back home getting mama's cooking and you're hanging out with your boys and you got a little bit more money in your pocket because you get some of that money from OTAs and minicamp.
Chicken fried steak and eggs.
You know what I'm saying? Fried chicken, brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hard, for him to be more disciplined. I think he can be a very effective player if they can keep him at that 330 level. He cannot balloon to 340, 345. But that 7-week period, you hope he comes back close to being in shape, because then if not, you got to start back from square one as an organization of trying to trim him down and get him into NFL football shape. Man, when you're young like that, man, you know what it was like, man. Can't nobody tell you nothing.
Nope.
You think you're invincible. If you didn't have anything, whatever you made, it's more than you ever had, man. And you're going to enjoy that luxury for the moment. And his mom supposedly is coming here to take care of him as well once the season starts. But, dude, if you're like me, mama's cooking is second to none.
Man, better not bring any biscuits and gravy. I'll just say.
What? Biscuits and gravy? Oh,
biscuits
my goodness.
And gravy, man.
Man, rice, the homemade fried chicken, mom's southern style recipe chicken.
My wife
burgers.
is from Dallas, man. All that, I learned all that, man.
You see what I'm saying? So, it's hard to tell a 21, 22-year-old, pump the brakes. You're a professional now. They'll learn, because once they get their butts kicked around a few times by older players and realize that you're not at Georgia anymore. You're not playing Troy State. You're not playing Alabama A&M. The worst team in the NFL has grown men that will knock you on your behind and embarrass you in a spotlight if you're not ready. He's going to learn that real quick. I'm hoping he comes back in shape. I'm hoping he comes back focused and ready for the rigors of what lies ahead. But I also know, having dealt with a lot of players throughout my career, hey, man, 7 weeks seems like a short period of time. But when you get away from the bosses and you have that freedom to do what you want to do, brother, that's a long period of time to do a lot of things you shouldn't be doing.
Popeyes with extra spice, please.
What?
Sure you make it extra crispy for me.
That's right. Give me that shrimp basket.
Yep.
Give me the 3-piece wing.
Yep.
Oh, man, what? Oh, my goodness, brother. What?
Hey, Deacon, I'm going to leave you with this. I don't know how they're going to transport the Eagle players between Mulata, Jordan Davis, Landon Dickerson. They're going to have to get a cargo plane because this thing here, that might be the biggest team in the league. When they get off the bus and they have to get on a scale, that Toledo's going to be hurting.
Let me tell you something, brother. Lane Johnson is 6'5", 315. He looks like a little dude compared to these dudes, man.
Even A.J. Brown looks like a big dude.
Man, let me tell you something. A.J. Brown looks like a Greek god, okay? This man is built. He kind of reminds me of DK Metcalf in terms of physique. Yeah, man, this team is huge. I mean, they're huge in the trenches along the defensive line. They're huge along the offensive line. I mean, I've been on a few flights, the small like crop duster flights where you got 30, 40 seats, and the flight attendant walks down to Alice, excuse me, could you move over here and could you move over here? I can see that they're gonna have to balance out this plane. All right, I need X amount of pounds on this side, and I need X amount of pounds. If not, we're gonna be flying like this the whole trip, brother. So you tell me what you want to do. That's big
right.
Boys,
they ain't
man.
Getting on Barrett's boat. I'll tell you that.
No,
man.
heck no. You pop a wheelie right out the dock on that boat, man. Tell you that right now.
Hey, D. Gunn, you have a great week, and thank you so much. It's always an honor to have you on our program. Thank you, my friend.
Hey, look, brother, anytime you call, if I'm available, I'm happy to do it for you, man. You know how I feel about you, brother. So
yes, sir. Thank you so much.
I'm always here for you. Yep.
Thank you, my friend. That is D. Gunn, man. Love talking with him. Don't forget to catch him on Sports Take every single day starting at noon Eastern time. So all good, man. We really appreciate that. My friends at Morgan & Morgan also want you to know the fee is free. And finding that attorney is one of the most important things that you could possibly do for you and your family, getting that fair compensation if you're hurt or injured on the job. For the people is not a slogan. It is who they are. It is what they do. Collecting over $13.5 billion in compensation for their clients over those 30 years. 800 attorneys strong, the biggest attorney firm in the country, ready to do battle for you. And every time they'll say this to you, there's no such thing as a fender bender when it comes to Morgan & Morgan. John Morgan and his team of attorneys will go to battle for you. Call them at 800-512-1600. That's 800-512-1600, 24/7, 7 days a week. And when you call Morgan & Morgan, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sales sent you.
After a car crash, the big insurance companies you see advertising on TV, they may try to downplay your case and might say it's only a fender bender or it's just a herniated disc. I worry that some law firms fall for this BS. Not us. We put ourselves in your shoes and ask, what would it be like to be in your pain for the rest of our lives? $1 million wouldn't be enough for me. There's only one Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com.